guys, welcome back to the channel. How about the last 24 hours? Can we talk about that? Because it's been crazy. Obviously, the channel has grown significantly. I have received numerous messages from so many people. And wow, I mean, the support is overwhelming. I can't even believe it. Andrew Tate retweeting the video was like huge, and I can't thank him enough. Thank you, Andrew. If you ever want to do an interview together, like, I know I'm a nobody, but maybe one day. So yeah, I am so excited and I'm so grateful for all of you guys and all the comments and all the messages and all the support. Thank you. But today I figured, since Andrew Tate blew up my channel, we should do another kind of watch along, like the first one I did. But this time it's with ZUBY music interview, which I thought was an amazing interview. I mean, he's just so brilliant, Andrew. So is ZUBY, but the way he thinks is just like, love it. I feel like we're like long lost siblings, perhaps, maybe, or like I'm like a female version of Andrew Tate. I don't know. All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and let's get started.
What they're doing is convincing people to ignore their own eyes. When you walk into the toilet as a woman and you see a big man and you have to pretend that that's not a man, you have to pretend it's not. Because if you acknowledge what your own eyes are telling you, you're the enemy, right? Once they can convince you to ignore your own eyes, well, that's the end of the game, isn't it? Now it doesn't matter if they see the sky is blue, because the media said the sky is red. And that's the final level of slave programming they're trying to get us to. They want us to ignore our own eyes, ignore our own ears, ignore our innate morality, because we're all born with an innate morality inside of us. We believe certain things are wrong and right instinctually. They want us to ignore that. Get rid of all of it, empty brains, empty hard disks, and plug in the new program for whatever they think is applicable at the time. And it's going to be tyranny and slavery.
We can all agree that this is true. People that want to deny this, they're either delusional or they're so far gone and so far brainwashed, like, forget it, it's over. I mean, think about the We Spa thing that happened in LA. Women in the locker room changing where they feel safe, and then a trans or a person that identifies as a trans comes in and like whips his dick out. And we're just supposed to pretend like that's okay. But aren't we supposed to be protecting women? And isn't this all about everybody's misogynist? We need to protect women, women's rights, this and that and the other. But looks to me like we're demolishing women. It's literally upside down world. And anybody who sits there and tries to justify this is like, I really don't even, like, I don't really have anything to say to you, because you're not speaking in logic and facts. I'm not living in a fantasy world, and I'm not going to capitulate to your delusions. I mean, it's insane. And the more we sit in there and try to pretend like it's normal, the farther we go down this like rabbit hole of degeneracy in like clown world. They want you to think you're crazy. The sky is blue. No, it's not. It's green. It's like, no, stop.
It's full of cowards. We suffer from a pandemic of cowardice. We've never suffered from any other pandemic the last 3 years. People are absolutely and utterly cowards, and they do to me what they did to me to scare people. If you tell the average person you're going to lose contact with basically everyone you can speak to, you're not going to have a voice anymore, you're not going to have a bank account, you're not going to be able to make money online, you're not going to be able to move anywhere, you're not going to be able to transact, we're going to wreck you head to toe, the average person can't deal with that, right? On top of the fact that the average person is employed and they're scared of losing their job, scared of their employer. I'm in a unique situation because I'm extremely difficult to hurt. But the average person, as soon as you hurt their money, their life is over, right? And that's what we've got. We've got to a level of cowardice amongst the population where people are just going to sit there and ignore objective reality because they're scared of having this cancellation weapon used against them. So yeah, you're right. It's not that people don't agree with us. It's not that we're not saying the things that everyone knows are intrinsically true. It's that everybody is afraid to say it. And that can only end when everybody stands up and stops agreeing and playing this game and stops being cowards. We need mass numbers of people to say, no, I'm allowed an opinion. Mm-hmm. You know what? Nigel Farage, and I'm not since UKIP ended. I don't even know about his politics nowadays. I don't even know what he's doing. But he says something that was really interesting. He was asked about who runs the world, and I guess the person was trying to set him up for a question about the elites. And he said, truthfully, I'll tell you who runs the world. We do. Because we decide how much of this crap we're going to put up with. The problem is we're putting up with too much of it. The problem is everyone's a coward. And you're right. I get the same thing. Wow, thanks for saying it. Why don't you say it? And everyone is just terrified. And it really is truly crazy, because fear has always been the control mechanism of man. The worst things that have ever happened in any society or any civilization since the dawn of fucking records has been done under the name of fear. Get the population afraid. What did Goebbels say? The propaganda minister of the Third Reich. Once people are afraid, give them a common enemy. They'll do anything you want. That's the Nazis knew this. Everyone knows this, right? So it's a basic playbook, but I think it's also a larger issue. I think that things like making sure people are semi-depressed, making sure people are divided, making sure people are selfish, making sure people are self-obsessed. They're trying to destroy people's will to stand up and care about anyone other than themselves. And once you do that, coupling with the fact that if you start to care about others and genuinely care about the world, you'll ruin your own life. It just makes people shut up.
Yeah.
Now, I've said this multiple times, and I have been kind of harsh, I guess you could say, to the cowardice that I've seen over the last 2.5 years. Some situations I do understand, because I do know that people have to make a living. I'm also in a unique situation where I don't have to answer to some corporation with a 9-to-5 and have to put pronouns on my signature and all this garbage bullshit, right? What really kills me is the fact that there are people out there that actually do work for themselves, and they actually can say something, and they actually don't have to follow the rules, but they choose to stay silent. And that is where I'm just done. If you sit back and don't at least acknowledge it and try to push back, like, what the fuck, you know? And I will say, after this Balenciaga thing, I am so done. If you didn't say anything, if you didn't speak out against that, it's pathetic. Everyone is so caught up in being politically correct or being accepted by the cool fashion elite crowd. It's like, where's your backbone? It's just gross and it's pathetic. I'm so done with people that have been silent about that. Like, I understand the politics and the social engineering and the pronouns and the trans movement and the BLM and all this bullshit, but the children, like, you're gonna sit back and not defend the children. We're done. I'm trying to be better with the pandemic of cowardice, because I understand not everyone can speak up. You have to survive, you have to make a living, especially now with everything so expensive. And I understand so many people were forced to get the thing and all that. So I do have compassion, but I don't have compassion for the ones that were able to speak out and they didn't. So.
People cannot think. It's almost a sad realization when you wake up and understand that there's a large contingent of the world who cannot think. And when I say that, I don't mean that in some kind of, semi-sarcastic, or I mean that literally. There are people who have a strong emotional reaction to subjects they completely don't understand. There are people out there who will stand up and say, I hate Andrew Tate. Why? I hate him. He needs to go to jail. Like, okay, why? I hate him. Why? They don't know why. Once the Matrix can program an emotional response into you, and you can't even logically with your own words explain why you have that emotional response, you're completely a slave mind. These people don't think about anything. They believe what they're told to believe. They're emotional about what they're told to be emotional about, in the exact direction they're told to be. And that's what the Matrix wants. It wants to be able to say a name and tell the world to hate them without even giving a reason, and just get what they want. These people are so far gone. These individuals who they cannot logically explain their own emotions are so far gone, it's ridiculous. As an adult, what you need to do is seriously analyze every strongly held belief you currently have and work out where it came from. Is it personal experience? Is it from somebody who I care about and who I trust? Is it from what the news has said? Why do I believe this so much? Why do I have an emotional response to this? Where did it come from? People don't do that. They just sit there, watch the news, watch social media. I'm supposed to hate this guy, so I now hate this guy. So I know exactly what you're talking about, ZUBY, because you're right. These people cannot think. They cannot even give a reason.
This is something I can personally relate to, because I was one of those people. 2.5 years ago, I was one of the emotionally charged people that kind of just followed the herd, didn't think for myself. You know, it was like everybody supports this group of people, these ideologies, therefore I do too, and so I must be right. I never really questioned anything. I just thought I was programmed 100%. And I know I've mentioned this 1,000 times in my other videos, but it took one of my friends, Jude Angelini, love you. I respected him, and he asked me a question one day, like, why are you so angry? Like, why are you so mad at, I won't get into the topic or the person, why do you hate this person so much? And I did not have a logical answer. And from that day on, I swore to myself I would never be put in a situation like that ever again. And so therefore, you have to step back from your personal opinions, and you have to look at things objectively. Like, okay, why do I not like this? Why do I feel so much anger towards this situation or this person? And then once you start researching these things, you're like, shit, maybe I'm wrong. And I have seen that so much in the past 2.5 years. I'll ask a friend of mine, for instance, so why do you feel a certain way about this? I'm just, honest to God, curious, because at this point, like, let's have discussion, you know? Because I used to feel like they did, and now I don't, and I want to know why they still do. Well, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm not into that topic. But you have such disdain for the topic, and you are so angry, so you must have a reason that you feel that way, right? But they don't. And that's so cringe and so fucking embarrassing. And people really need to research why they feel the way they do. Otherwise, just shut up. And I know most people do. Most people don't have a fucking clue what's going on. It's kind of gross, but it's like no one questions anything. They're just angry and self-righteous, and they don't know why, because they're brainwashed and programmed, just like they want you to be. If we all kind of step back and put our egos to the side and research why we feel the way we do, this world would be a better place. I think we would have a lot more in common than we think, because I think we all kind of want the same things, but we're turning to the wrong people. Yeah, the wrong people and the wrong resources for the answers. So anyway, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're so right. But this is the thing that aggravates me the most. These slave-minded individuals are they're literally barely sentient individuals. If I was the kind of person, if I was walking around with a mask on and screaming at my fellow man in supermarkets, and I've now realized that I was wrong because COVID is still here, and I'm not wearing a mask anymore, neither is anyone else, I would feel deep shame. I would be apologetic. I would literally be saying to the world, I can't believe they fooled me like that. I don't know who you were, who I was yelling at in the supermarket. You were smarter than me. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. They fooled me. They tricked me. These people don't even feel shame. They don't even feel sorry. They don't even sit and go, wow, they made a fool out of me. It doesn't even cross their minds. They're on to the next thing now. Slava Ukraine. Next thing. They don't give a shit. And it's just truly amazing that they can destroy someone's life for 3 years and then recruit these people to go out there and push the agenda for them. And all the people who were tools of an agenda, now the agenda is over, are not sentient enough to sit and go, wow, they fooled me. I need to think more carefully next time they try and fool me. No, they just continue with the programming. These people are completely and utterly slave-minded, genuinely slaves. They live inside of a system, and the system they're going to purport and fight to defend is going to destroy them. They're not fighting for a system which is going to give them anything other than absolute slavery and tyranny. It's truly incredible to watch in real time this kind of crap happening. But these people are beyond saving, and obviously people like you and I stand up. But even though we're trying to help them, once they come for us with the cancellation mob, these people cheer. It's to a degree you'd like to think it's demoralizing. You'd say, well, why am I trying to save people from themselves if they're truly this stupid? But the odd ones that you can speak to and the minds you can free kind of make it worth it. But Yeah, there are so many people out there that literally have never analyzed their own life and decisions. I say this to everybody at home. When I still had Twitter, I used to do tweets all the time talking about all the influencers, including conservative right-wing influencers who were purporting and pushing the mask agenda. Yes. You need to fucking apologize. You can't just memory hole it. You can't just delete the tweet. I saw it, and the world saw it, and you know who you are. Say sorry. Say sorry. Say, I was a fool. They made a fool of me, and admit it, because if you don't admit your mistakes, you're going to repeat them.
This one really fires me up because it's so true. As I said in my other videos, they created literal foot soldiers to go out and do their bidding. They created little fucking Nazis to go out and authoritarian psychos to go up to complete strangers and tell them how to live their life, what to put on their bodies, what to inject in themselves. And then now that it's just all of a sudden the TV says it's over, it's all done. COVID still exists, right? But now that the TV says it's over and we can get back to life, like, okay, boo, 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 boo. It's just fucking crazy. As Andrew said, like, you don't even have the courtesy or the decency to be like, shit, I was wrong. Wow. I might need to, like, next time I'm programmed with some propaganda, I might want to, like, step back and, like, ask myself, is this legit? Is there an agenda being pushed here? And I've heard the excuse, well, we were just doing what we thought was right at the time. It's like, no. If my dumbass realized what was happening in 2020, right when it happened, knew what the fuck was going on, and I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, if I could take the time to do the research, we had a year, 2 years of lockdown. There's no excuse for everybody to not have a clue as to what's happening. You have a computer, you have books, you have access to information. So if I was able to realize that this was a fucking scam, you have no excuse not to realize it was a scam. And the least you can do is apologize for your authoritarian behavior over the past 2.5 years, you know? It's crazy. This, right? The mask thing. Like ZUBY said, it was a compliance thing. It had nothing to do with your health. It had nothing to do with stopping the spread. If you take 5 seconds to look at the fucking box with the thing, with the mask box, it says this does not prevent the spread of disease. But no, we just did it anyway because A, a lot of people live in fear, and B, people just like to follow the rules. And what makes me sick is that it could have never happened. If people would have said no, this would have never happened. But so many people put that fucking mask on and wore it proudly. First of all, it has nothing to do with your health, as I said. It's a compliance thing and it's a control thing. They wanted to see how far they could push the masses to do what they want. So many of you did, and it makes me sick, and it's pathetic. And when I see people with photos on their Instagram with a mask on today, you should be ashamed.
The reason that they told the media is that I'm somehow hateful and misogynistic and I'm dangerous to the world, which I think anybody with a brain knows is absolutely not true. I have opinions, yes, but those opinions aren't going to be out here detrimenting society, not the way that most of the genuine evil that the mainstream media purports out to the children is actually damaging society. The reason they deleted me is because I was massively influential and they didn't like the direction in which I was pushing the youth of the world, which was to think for themselves. So they thought I had to go. That's what the real reason they did it, and they never even told me why.
Why do you think they're so scared of that message?
They're scared of a message. They're always going to be scared of any message that comes from somebody that people idolize and respect, which is basically telling people to be strong physically and mentally and to resist a slave mind and to think for themselves, because their number one agenda is to create worker drones. They don't want you to think for yourself, which means that to a degree you need to be weak, both mentally and physically. If you're weak, both mentally and physically, one, you're not prepared to defend your ideas, but especially if you're mentally weak, this is such a big point of it, and this is why I get so much flack for saying depression isn't real and all these things. If you're mentally weak and you're concerned in your own mind about even living day-to-day life because you find it such a struggle, there's no way you're going to take on a larger battle than yourself. You're not going to start resisting enslavement. You're not going to start fighting against COVID mandates. You're not going to be doing any of that stuff because you're too busy looking in the mirror crying your eyes out. You're selfish. You're self-obsessed. Happy people don't do that. Happy people, okay, my life is good. I'm happy. I want my family to be happy. I want my community to be good. I care about my country. That's why they don't want you to be happy. They want you to be miserable, weak, and they want to delete any morality from your brain because it's a baseline morality that prevents them from installing the slave programming.
So I feel this on a personal level because this is my third Instagram account. My other two have been heavily shadow banned because I say things that go against the mainstream narrative. I actually do the research. I actually come to my own conclusions. I actually think for myself, and thus I feel like I want to share what I found with others. Spread the word, right? Well, that's the problem, and that's why people like Andrew Tate are being canceled, because it's not because he's a bad person. It's because he is pushing a message of personal responsibility, strength, thinking for yourself, basically exiting the matrix, which is the consumerism, the propaganda, everything that the elites like encompass us with. I mean, without us buying their products and using their services, they have no control or power over us. And it just goes to show how easy they can wipe it all away. Your whole life. They canceled him within like a click of a button. That's what he said. That's crazy. It's funny because when I talk to people about Andrew, they're like, oh, isn't that misogynistic guy? And it's like, of course that's what the mainstream media says, because they want you to think he's a bad person. But in fact, he's complete opposite of that. The complete opposite. He's basically coaching young beta boys how to be men. And like I said, without men, this country's doomed. So therefore, he's gotten so much traction. He's gotten so much recognition from young men. This is a threat to the establishment. So this is why he got canceled, not because he's a misogynist. I think he's great. Obviously, we all know I love Andrew Tate. And yeah, so let's keep going. I think I've done enough for today because it gets me so fucking fired up. Andrew Tate, love him. Like, why can't all men be as smart and strong as Andrew Tate? Anyway, I'll probably do a part 2 to this. I just need to stop right now before I give myself an aneurysm. But thank you guys so much for watching, and leave a comment below. I came in hot this time, but like actually this is the real me. I've been kind of mellow the last few videos, but anyway, love you guys. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you later.